Good. Hello, everyone. This is AV, and I am the curator and organizer for Oakland Creates 2024 Art, Comics, and Zine Fest. And today we are honored to have guest of honor for this year, Eugene Randolph Young. I'm just going to ask him a series of questions. I'm super excited for this interview. Welcome to you. Welcome, Eugene.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Looking
Great.
forward to it.
Awesome. I'm going to share my screen a little bit. Let me know that if you can see what I'm sharing. Are you able to see everything?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Perfect, perfect. Just a little bit about Oakland Creates. Oakland Creates was a vision that I had back in 2014, 2015. It sort of began as a way to bring folks together in community, an opportunity to present their art and to sort of share with everyone who they are and what they're about, and sort of lend a sense of guidance, education, leadership to artists of color, essentially Black, Brown women, and Indigenous folks, folks that who are just new to the art scene, are emerging artists, and so yeah, just give them a space to share their work and have community with one another. I think artists are a huge part of the cultural landscape, especially in the Oakland East Bay area. So I wanted to provide space for that. It's awesome, Eugene. You were at the very first Oakland Creates, so I definitely
Yeah. Yeah.
appreciate you for that. So
Mhm.
again, our featured artist is Eugene Randolph Young, and I'm just going to introduce him a little bit and talk a little bit about Eugene. And so Eugene Randolph Young is an educator, cartoonist, illustrator, graphic designer, and entertainment artist based in San Francisco Bay Area. He is best known for his independent science fiction and fantasy art that is inspired by indigenous lore, 80s cyberpunk, 50s pinup art, and Afrofuturism. Eugene started drawing around the age of 7 and cites cartoons, superhero comics, science fiction films, manga, and anime as his main influences. Eugene's Afromancers IP explores the aesthetics, customs, and technologies of African and African American hair culture through the popular formats of science fiction, comics, and animation. The Afromancers Primer was nominated for a 2024 Glyph Comics Award for Best Artist, and his recent works also include groundbreaking heavy experimental mobile platform HXMP series, which is an homage to his love of Japanese mech tech designs, 1980s, and diversity in the female form, which we'll talk a little bit more about that later. In 1994, he collaborated with writer Perry Clark, uh, MFT, on. It's sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. Is it Guagala?
Gila.
Gila,
Yeah. Gila the
the
Dark Stranger.
Dark
Uh-huh.
Stranger. It's a 4 issue miniseries, and in 2017, he saw the release of Jet Powers: Ghost from the Past for the Not Forgotten Public. It's a domain superhero anthology with writer Jared Rosemarin. Other zine and sketchbook projects include The Funk of 40,000 Years, Fishtails, Mermaids, Sirens, and Hybrids from the Deep, and is it Calipha?
Califia or
Caliph
Califia. People say it different ways. Yeah.
Califia, Soft and Fast, and is uh,
Blamazons.
Blamazons. Is that your latest?
That's the latest. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
I mean it's older work, but I finally got everything together. It was originally going to be a series of coloring books, but I decided just to do a sketchbook and people are liking it so far.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I've seen some of the photos on Instagram. So
Yeah.
that's a sci-fi pinup series. And you also designed and illustrated the Cousin Wash Presents the Food Convention Children's Book and Puzzle, which I've seen you at exhibits
Mhm.
selling those, which was really cool. And Eugene completed his MFA in illustration at the Academy of Art University, BFA in graphic design with distinction at the California College of Arts and Crafts and an AA in graphic design at City College of San Francisco and graduated from Berkeley High School. And he is taught at Dominican University of California, the California College of the Arts, City College of San Francisco, and currently serves as assistant professor of design of visualization in the School of Design. Say that 5 times fast. The
Mm,
Design Visualization in School of Design at San Francisco State University. So welcome, welcome. I just have a few questions for you,
sure.
and then
Okay.
we'll talk a little bit about your art practice, and some of the wonderful projects that you've been working on. And so,
Okay.
Eugene, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Eugene,
Mm.
where did you grow up?
So I was born in Oakland and I grew up in the East Bay. I was a commuter kid, so I spent a lot of time moving from usually Richmond to Berkeley. I did my K through 12 in Berkeley public schools. And I had family, a lot of family in Oakland. So, for example, on weekends, we'd head down to East Oakland, my mom's twin sister. We get together with her and her family, her kids. We go all pack into the back of a, maybe like four little kids in the back of a Toyota Celica, and we
Nice.
go to East Mall, and they just love to shop. And yeah, that was our routine. Shopping on Saturdays, church on Sunday in Berkeley. A lot of time at visiting grandparents, or if we were being babysat, it was aunts, uncles, cousins. So it was,
So
but
you
yeah, it was moving
so
around
you
the Bay
kind
Area.
so
Yeah,
you remember a time like I went to Eastmont Mall, went to T Uzi Records, and
it
sort of played around in the record store there,
was 45s. Yeah.
and then the movie theater, which was super raucous. The movie
Mhm.
theater in Eastmont Mall was wild.
Yeah. We like the
So
Mervins. We used to tear up the toy department, me and my cousin Charles. I'll talk a little bit more about him later because he was my first influence in terms of wanting to do art, or to make things with my hands.
nice.
So, but definitely, yeah, that was a big part of my childhood. Shopping, the whole retail industry. I mean, this the Bay Area was a good place to grow up. Between our broadcast media, local television, KTVU, KBHK, there was just always local programming. There was national programming. Later, we got cable, but there's a kind of an entertainment culture, and we had a lot of good access to all the
Well,
pop culture stuff that inspired me as a kid.
and East Oakland was this huge, vibrant Black community. I mean, I would go summers and hang out on 82nd and Outlook, which is just down the
Mhm.
street from Eastmont Mall. So you're probably familiar with that area just by Oakland Tech over there.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so definitely same stomping ground.
Yeah, my great
And that
grandparents had a house right on what was that street? I'm blanking on the name of the street, right across from Eastmont Mall, right down the street from Temescal. So we'd have huge family gatherings there on Easter, Christmas, and Thanksgiving, every
nice.
year. And so it'd be multiple generations and multiple families all packed in that one house. So yeah, I remember that area. Walking over
Well,
to the 7-Eleven with my cousins, and
well,
yeah,
thinking of kind of speaking of your cousin,
hmm
that's a great segue into my next question, which is there
yeah,
any one person from your childhood who inspired you to make art? I mean, for
yeah,
me, it was my older brother Kimuel. Sounds like your cousin Charles. Who was that? Your
yeah,
person, or was there other
yeah.
people
Yeah,
that?
it was my cousin Charles. Yeah, his nickname was Big Boy. Because I guess because he kind of looked like the character from, I don't know how he got that nickname, but it was funny. So we were big fans of the Dukes of Hazzard show.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
we pretend to be Bo and Luke Dukes. So he was, a little fair skin and sandy hair. So and green eyes. So he had to play who's the blonde guy, the John Schneider character. Luke, and I pretended to be Bo. So he was into cars. His dad drove trucks, and I think eventually he started working for AC Transit. We used to talk about, when we get older, we're going to live on a big rig and just haul and travel around. But right now, he
Nice.
works as he hauls, he drives big rigs for real, and he's an amazing auto mechanic and everything. So, but I would go over to their house again. This is over in East Oakland, and he would always have model kits, scale model kits of
Oh,
cars and
cool.
trucks that he put together and painted and detailed. And then I'd see his drawings on the wall. So again, it was like Saturday morning, so cartoons would be on, and just seeing that there, I think that influenced me. And then also in what would that be, in primary school, there were a couple boys in second grade who, I don't know, I guess where I was kind of a competitive kid. A lot of us,
Nice.
we if we saw another boy getting attention for doing something, or being
Right.
popular for doing something, and we try to do it. So it could be anything from like, winning a ball game or running the fastest on the playground. So it's a couple boys who drew really well. Yeah, John Calder and Nathan Erlin also, who also
Wow. You remember their names. That's
oh,
awesome.
absolutely. Yeah. Nathan, we're pretty good friends. John
Excuse me.
was a little older, about a year, maybe 1, 2 years older. I just remember one day they were drawing in Mr. Retsky's class, and it might have been during recess. And I can still remember what the thing he was drawing. It was a profile of a jet, and it was something about the way that he was drawing the canopy that was unique. It was basically, a simple angle, but then he added a right angle, and it made it look like the canopy could actually lift open. It was one of those that at that age, it just you see it and you don't quite get it, and you try to draw it and it doesn't work, and you keep trying. And then when I finally got it, I must have drawn it like 50 times after that. Every time I drew a spaceship in profile or a jet in profile,
Nice.
I remember that. So that was kind of how we learned. I also around the same, there was at Oxford School in when it was still in Berkeley Hills. Now it's down where the East Campus used to be
Mm.
on University. They moved it, I guess, for seismic reasons or something. But yeah, but we were at Oxford. My sister went to Oxford, and the library had a section. I think it was the 741s. That was where I saw my first like how to draw books by like Lee Ames, how to draw 50 horses, 50 vehicles, 50 sea creatures. Um, and the Ed Emberley books. Ed Emberley was another um, artist author who made books that showed you how to draw things in a really simple modular way, so you can almost memorize like how to draw a particular type of ship or a car, truck, or different animals. So drawing was between that and seeing the other boys draw in different ways. That was it was a way to play, when you see, because yeah, I
Right.
say I mentioned the advertising and the the everyday commercials,
Right.
Star Wars
So you
toys, these toys,
mentioned
those
the
toys.
instruction books or how-to books, and
Mhm.
that kind of reminds me, like I said, my segue or my entry into drawing was watching my four older brothers sort of have an assembly line version of
Mhm.
making their own comic books. Like my brother Kim was the artist; he would draw, and my brother Robert was the writer, and one of my other brothers, Norvell, would color it, and my other brother Sean would also draw. And so I kind of also developed a love for writing as well as drawing. Are there other mediums that you find, compelling and interesting? Like, are you into dance or theater or
Mhm.
music, or are there other art styles or mediums that besides drawing that you're interested in that you sort of do as a practice?
Yeah, so not really an art, but I got into swimming about 5 years ago.
Nice.
So it's one of those things where it's hard. I almost gave up a couple times because it's just so strenuous. But it's something where, when you're starting more or less from scratch or relearning something, it's just, I don't know. I like that ability to just to learn something or to relearn something, and to see if it's something where there's a like a really high level of expertise out there that you can watch Olympic swimmers or
Right.
master swimmers who train throughout the week at the local pools. That inspires me, seeing people do that. I took my first ballet class. I was supposed to go today, but I didn't know this stuff. I was swimming, actually. I was swimming this morning.
Nice.
Yeah, I took ballet. I had a friend who was doing it at the what is it? The Alonzo Lines, I think. King Line. It's a studio in San Francisco, downtown San Francisco.
Wow.
Um, and it was I really enjoyed it. It was really fascinating, and I think it's similar. That and Chinese calligraphy. I did a workshop years ago. And so I guess I'm drawn to things that have these deep histories, crafts that have developed over, you know, millennia in the case of Chinese calligraphy. But with ballet, I guess we're talking about maybe, I don't know, centuries. I'm not
Right.
sure, at least, scores of years. So, um, and then knowing that, again, people have figured out how to do this at a really, really high level. So I'm hoping to just in future Sundays, or and Thursdays, when I have time, to just kind of keep that practice going. Plein air painting, watercolor, botanical, drawing and painting.
Do you think that
Yeah.
you are more drawn to disciplines that involve some type of mind-body connection? Because what I'm hearing, I'm drawing the connection, or I'm seeing a similar theme in that you have to be able to master your body and focus
Mhm.
and sort of have that connection, mind-body, spiritual connection to
Mhm.
achieve a higher level, say in ballet or swimming, like that.
Mhm.
You really have to utilize these tools to
Mhm.
progress in a very it's almost linear way, but it's obviously personal for all of us and different from all of us. But you feel like a physical component is something that you
Think so.
enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely. I think of drawing as having definitely having drawing and painting as having those qualities. I also make a connection to math. Way that we learned math, it was very progress. It progressed from, I guess, arithmetic to, algebra, geometry, trigonometry, calculus, etc. So everything kind of built on what came before. And that's just something that really fascinates me. I think you can really understand a topic. And I think my interest in world building, or even just inventing, I don't spend a lot of time drawing other people's stuff.
Yeah.
I don't have the patience to draw. If you were to ask me to draw, a popular character, I'd probably have a hard time with it because I enjoy
Mm,
creating from my imagination. But
right.
in order to do that, I feel like I have to really understand things at the granular level and then, kind of build out from there. That's just kind of how my mind
Right.
works.
That's very interesting too, because I feel like, as being an art teacher and a lot of after school programs, I feel like not only does art give us a super hyper focus, but also gives us a very instinctual ability to problem solve. And I think a lot of students are missing out on that because we would get those basic tutorials in the 80s and 90s of,
Hmm.
how to cut out shapes, how to use glue and paper and scissors, where
I'm hearing they're not learning that
they're
stuff.
not learning any of that. And so
Yeah, yeah.
and it all definitely translates into math and science to be able
Mhm.
to use your brain in a way to problem solve, which I feel
Mhm.
like art gives you so many more options and opens up your cognition and your pathways to thinking and
Yeah,
solving these equations
yeah, yeah.
mathematically and scientifically, that
Mhm.
if you don't use that part of your brain for imagination, that it hinders your ability to learn math and science,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so
yeah.
I
It's all
think
connected.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very much all connected. So it's fascinating that because I'm very much into world building myself. So I
Mhm.
like to hear about, how you're connecting the physicality and the being in the present physical world to imbue your art with a specific understanding of how the world works and to build a world from that, right?
Not
And
only that, I mean, so part of our play, when I was a kid, we had physical play, whether it was on a playground, whether it was roughhousing, climbing, jumping, running, and then pretending to be our favorite characters, running
mm-hmm,
around if
mm-hmm.
you're allowed to, running around the house, with a toy. And that was so I grew up in a house where there was space for me to move around, and I could imagine the entire house being a starship. I could go
100%,
down
right,
into the garage, and that was engineering. I could go into my bedroom, and that was a hangar where my bunk bed would become, I could climb a ladder, and now I'm in the cockpit.
right,
So that kind of imaginative play was physical. And then when I got tired of that, I would try to draw the things that I was imagining. That's where a lot of my first stories came out of that physical play, which was
right,
a
right.
derivative of something I'd seen on television.
Right,
Yeah.
100%. I'll tell people all the time, as a 6 and 7 year old, I used to climb trees, and I'm thinking as a woman now, older woman, like, how did I do that? Like,
Yeah.
but it definitely helps developmentally, right? Like, just to be
Hmm.
able to challenge yourself and but also just when I'm drawing now as a reference, I sometimes pose myself into these positions and movements to know what I it will look like on the page, but you
Mhm.
want to translate how it will feel. So you need to be able to have put yourself in those positions, and that's the like you said, by playing, by moving physically is the only way that you sort of develop that technique. And I'm
Mhm.
very much a strong proponent of having a physical sort of discipline because I used to you have to
Yeah.
have been there to know that. And so it's
Mhm.
very I find it very interesting, yes, that you are relating to your childhood play and then now as an adult, the physicality of how that
Yeah.
shows up in your artwork. So that's awesome and amazing.
Mhm.
I also had a question about so what's one thing that you wish a teacher, being a teacher now, what's the one thing you wish as a younger person a teacher would have told you? Like there's something that
Um, so my answer to this question is different. Because I had really good teachers and they told me what I needed to know. I just wish I had listened when I should have.
Okay, okay.
The biggest regret, I had teachers. So this was after I had just done terribly at my first go at doing the college thing. I was at San Jose State 4 years. Just did not it didn't work out. So, I went to City College of San Francisco. And by the time I was close to finishing my AA there, I had a couple faculty members encouraging me to go out of state to go to a school. They're actually recommending Rhode Island School of Design.
Nice.
I was accepted. I visited, and but I was also accepted to a school, another school for graphics. That would have been for illustration, and then I was accepted to another school for to CCAC for graphic design. So that still haunts me, just that getting that much closer to one of the largest illustration markets in the world, at least in the country, um, by going to RISD. The fact that I liked being around those relatively old buildings and seeing a lot of brick. Brown University was right across the street. And it felt like starting off fresh, and it would have been an opportunity to grow up in ways that, staying in the Bay Area just doesn't allow you to do because I grew up here.
Mhm.
So that's what um, but other than that, I think, or maybe if I could have gotten more mentoring on how to be yourself in an environment where uh, you're different. I mean,
Mm,
just it's weird. I mean, I'm not just demographically. My experience, for example, as an undergrad at CCAC was that my curiosity kind of, I think I just had a different kind of curiosity about everything. They kind of sold the school as being this interdisciplinary, open plan type thing. It was just got me excited about it when I was looking at schools,
right.
open days, and so you can kind of wander and interact with people. I saw the model shop. I wanted to make things in the model shop. I wanted to learn how to use all those machines and I wanted to build stuff. And I was in graphic design, and even though we had projects where we were required to make things, like a pull toy out of wood, or we did have to use the model shop. There was this mindset where my peers tended to say, okay, well, this is our silo over here. This is graphic
Mm,
design.
okay, okay.
That's very ID, industrial design. So, why are you doing that? And it's like I wanted to try everything. I
Right.
want to try motion graphics. I wanted to try, yeah, why can't I make a chair? That looks cool. That looks interesting.
Mhm.
In fact, at the time, I'm not sure what his position was, director or chair. Michael Vanderbilt, of Vanderbilt Design. If you look at his website, you saw everything from graphics on the big sailing ships for the America's Cup to furniture design to illustration, 2D graphics.
Right.
And that was again, I always saw that as a good model, where you're
Mm-hmm.
that kind of, I call that Da Vincian mindset, or me being I was a Prince fan growing up, and seeing a musician master so many different instruments and be a vocalist and lead bands and just have this
Right.
whole genre built up around him. That was a model, George Lucas, and having again gathering all of these great creatives to put those movies together, and then the toys and all the merchandising. That kind of, like, I don't know what to call it, like multidimensional thinking. That's what I grew up around. I think it's probably one of the few positive effects of being immersed in so much of that popular media. Because I didn't read a lot, probably
Right.
spent too much time from the television. So, that's it kind of trained my mind to think multidimensionally. So
Wow. So that kind of segues into my next question.